If you like this episode, be sure to like and subscribe. The SNA, Chapter 6, Spencer Dorsey. Arisho walked in front of the SNA's entrance gate while Shu sat on her shoulder. Captain Koji of the Northern Gate Guard, her lieutenant, and Kohana then immediately appeared in front of them, blocking their entrance inside. "Halt!" they all yelled. Kohana's eyes widened when she realized it was Arisho. "Arisho? Where have you been?" she exclaimed. "Well, I got really upset and just had to get away for a little while. So I just ran until I couldn't run anymore. I'm not really sure where I was," she chuckled embarrassedly. Koji's eyes were like daggers, stabbing Arisho repeatedly with her glare. "Are you not aware that leaving the campus without permission is forbidden? I should throw you in prison right now," shouted Koji. "How do we know you didn't leave to go conspire with our enemies? I knew you were a spy." "Hang on now, Koji, put down your pitchfork. Arisho is still new here. She had no idea she wasn't allowed to leave campus. I never told her that," exclaimed Kohana. "What?" yelled Koji, shifting her glare to Kohana. "That's right. So if you're gonna arrest somebody, then you should arrest me instead for my poor explanation of the rules." "Of course, then there would be no one left to lead the guard of the southern wall since Captain Tedros is still gone." Kohana smiled smugly. "I reckon if you do 22-hour shifts, then it won't be an issue." Koji groaned in frustration as she buried her face in her palm. She then turned to look at her lieutenant, who slightly shook his head. "Let it go, Koji. She doesn't appear to be a traitor to me," he said as he examined Arisho. "But what is that thing on your shoulder, Miss Sumisu?" "Oh, him? This is Shusuke. I found him when I was in the forest. He'll be staying with me from now on," smiled Arisho. "Is that okay?" Shu seemed very anxious as he let out a loud meow. "Oh, how cute!" gushed Kohana. "The hell were you doing in the forest?" growled Koji. "Crying," mumbled Arisho. "Koji!" hissed the man, putting his hand up, signaling for her to stop. He then turned his head back to Arisho and smiled. "I see. You may keep the cat. Just remember to have it registered and accompany it outside after curfew. If the cat wanders alone after curfew, then we can't promise it won't be killed." "Yes, sir," Arisho said in horror. Koji then stomped closer to Arisho, pushing her lieutenant out of the way. "Oh no, I'm not letting you off that easily. Your punishment for leaving the walls is to take over Kohana's position as the new student tour guide for the next 6 months, since she's incompetent. And you will not be paid. You will be here every day in addition to your training, and you start today. Be back here in 1 hour," shouted Koji before turning away to leave. "I got my eye on you, Sumisu." Koji and her lieutenant then instantly vanished, leaving behind nothing but a small cloud of dust while Kohana stuck her tongue out at them. "God, I hate her. I hope one day she can pull that snake out of her ass," growled Kohana. "Hey, Kohana. Thanks for saving me. I didn't mean to get you in trouble," frowned Arisho. "Don't sweat it, Arisho. That's what friends are for," smiled Kohana. "But you better have a damn good reason for leaving the wall. I want to hear all about it, Kay? I have to get back to work now." She then gently patted Shu's head while he made low purring noises. "And it's so nice to meet you, cutie," she giggled before turning around. "All right, see you tonight." Kohana then instantly vanished while Arisho waved goodbye. She then looked down at Shu and gave him a sly grin. "I've never heard you meow before," laughed Arisho. "I thought you weren't a cat." "I'm not! I just get really nervous around new people. Those guys were pretty scary," said Shu embarrassedly. "Don't worry, Shu. As long as I'm here, no one will hurt you. I promise," she smiled. Shu gave her a friendly smile and rubbed the side of his head against her face while she giggled. Arisho trotted around the school with Shu on her back, snuggled inside of her hair as she showed him around the SNA. Shu gazed in amazement at the beautiful campus. "Wow, this place is so huge!" exclaimed Shu. "I know! I said the same thing! It's pretty unbelievable here," laughed Arisho. All of the flirts sat at their bleachers talking amongst themselves until Dao noticed Arisho walking across the activity field. "Is that Arisho?" Dao exclaimed, beginning to wave his arms. "Hey, Arisho! Over here!" Arisho turned her head towards them to see all of the guys staring at her and Deidara, who looked like a deer in headlights. Arisho wanted very badly to ignore them as she turned her head away from their direction, attempting to hide her anger. "Are those your friends?" asked Shu. "I'm not sure. They were, but they're also Deidara's best friends. I'm sure they wouldn't want me around once they know we broke up," she frowned. "Arisho!" shouted Toshi. "You don't know that, Arisho. You spoke so highly of them earlier. They don't sound like the type of people to do that," frowned Shu. "But they're Deidara's friends. And Deidara is right there. I can't face him." "You said it yourself, Arisho. You should never feel unwelcome in a place you call home. This is your club too. Besides, I'll be by your side the entire time. If anything happens, then I'll protect you. I promise," smiled Shu. "Besides, it doesn't look like they hate you to me." "Arisho, can you hear us?" shouted Dao. "Arisho, please, come here just for a moment," yelled Madiomaru. Arisho's heart jumped at the sound of Madiomaru's call, and without hesitation she walked over to the bleachers. Shu once again became anxious as he hid himself inside of her hair. "Were you ignoring us?" frowned Madiomaru. "We've been looking everywhere for you. We were so worried," whined Dao. "I'm sorry. I just thought that maybe you guys didn't want to be friends with me anymore, since..." Arisho looked up at Deidara and then looked down at her feet. "Since we aren't dating anymore." All of the guys looked at each other with their mouths slightly parted before turning their heads back to her with warm smiles. "That's nonsense, Arisho. Of course we still want you around," smiled Dao. "Yeah, why wouldn't we? You're our friend. We would never just toss you to the side like a stranger," agreed Madiomaru. "You should know us better than that." "We know what happened between you and Deidara, and honestly, that has nothing to do with us. Deidara is our best friend, but you're our friend too," nodded Toshi. Arisho's eyes grew larger as her mouth slightly hung open. Her cheeks turned red as her eyes became glossy. Dao walked closer to her and wrapped his arm around her shoulder, pulling her closer to him. "You're a flirt now, Arisho, and we don't take that title lightly. It means you're one of us forever. We don't care who you date. That will never change how we feel about you. We're your friends too, and won't let something like that ruin it. Don't you feel the same about us?" he asked, flashing his perfect teeth. "Yeah." "Yes, of course," smiled Arisho, attempting to hold back her tears. "Thank you, guys." "See, Arisho, you have some great friends," whispered Shu in her ear. "You're right. They are amazing. I'm so thankful," giggled Arisho. Dao took a step back from her, confused by her statement as he tilted his head. "So, who's who?" whispered Shu. "The one with the red hair is Dao, and this one is Madiomaru. They're both the funniest and sweetest guys you could ever meet. That one is Toshi. He's a little feisty, but very sweet too once you get to know him," smiled Arisho. Everyone became very baffled by her words as they gazed at her with confused expressions. "Who are you talking to?" asked Dao. "Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to introduce you. Guys, this is Shu." Arisho smiled, pulling Shu out of her hair. All of the Flirts' eyes lit up at the sight of Shu's adorable face, especially Dao. "Oh my goodness! A cat! I love cats!" he exclaimed, grabbing Shu and hugging him tightly. "You're so cute and tiny! Huh, little guy? Huh?" Shu became even more anxious as he let out a loud meow. Meow. Dao and Madiomaru immediately began to gush over how cute he was. Deidara finally stood up and slowly approached Arisho while she glared at him in disgust. "Arisho, can we go somewhere private? I need to talk to you," pleaded Deidara. "There's nothing to talk about, Deidara. Leave me alone," huffed Arisho angrily. "But Arisho, started Deidara as he grabbed her hand. Shu's eyes widened in anger and he immediately jumped out of Dao's arms to claw Deidara's wrist. Deidara immediately let go of Arisho's hand to grab his wound while Shu defensively stood in front of her. "You stay away from her!" yelled Shu as he flashed his fangs. Everyone jumped back in fear and stared at Shu in disbelief. "Did you just talk?" exclaimed Deidara. "If you touch her again, you can say goodbye to your fingers," growled Shu before climbing onto Arisho's head. "Are we hallucinating? Toshi, did you spike our drinks again?" exclaimed Dao. "I didn't do anything! What the hell is that thing?" yelled Toshi. Oh, Shu isn't the cat. He's a Brit Condrocus, smiled Arisho. A what? They all asked. A Brit Condrocus! Jeez, it's like none of you humans know your history. I mean, you guys dedicated a whole mountain to us. I'm a shape-shifting feline-like creature. I can take the form of anything I choose, explained Shu. For example, Shu then transformed into Deidara, except his eyes were still green and he had a tail and cat ears. Look, I'm a cheating scumbag, mimicked Shu in a poorly done British accent, pretending to be Deidara. Fuck the me, Arisho! Deidara growled in anger while everyone laughed. Shu then suddenly transformed back into a cat, falling onto the ground. I can't hold it very long, though. I'm still not very good at using my powers yet, he sighed. That was amazing, Shu! I've never seen you transform before, squealed Arisho. You are amazing! Literally the cutest thing I've ever seen! Gushed Dao, snatching him from the ground and snuggling Shu tightly. You are going to be the cutest little member of our club. From this day forward, you are a flirt! I love you! In that case, I do need to go meet with Koji. If you guys would like to finish showing him around for me, I'd really appreciate it, smiled Arisho. Yes! You can count on me! I won't let this cutie out of my sight! Gushed Dao. Thanks, guys, she smiled as she turned to walk away. No! Arisho, don't leave me! I want to be with you! Plus, I don't want to be anywhere near Trash Dara! Whined Shu, jumping out of Dao's arms. I'm sorry, but I can't take you with me here. Don't worry, Shu. These guys are my friends. They'll take great care of you, I promise. Just be good until I get back, okay? I won't be long, she smiled, petting his head. Okay, cried Shu. Come on, buddy. We got you, smiled Madiomaru, gently picking him up. But Arisho, I really need to talk to you, frowned Deidara. I'm busy, said Arisho coldly before running away. Deidara was heartbroken and bit his bottom lip as he watched her disappear. The guys were so busy gushing over how cute Shu was that they had not noticed Deidara's expression. Guys, how come you didn't back me up? Whined Deidara. Sorry, dude, we got distracted. I mean, do you see this face? Gushed Dao, holding up Shu. Shu hissed at Deidara angrily while Deidara jumped back in fear. Arisho walked towards the entrance gate where she saw a very pale man with shaggy black hair and dark circles under his eyes with 2 large duffel bags. Koji impatiently stood next to him, tapping her nails against her thigh. Ah, there you are! Finally! This is Spencer Dorsey. He is a visitor from a neighboring state that we plan to build another SNA campus on, and his family are potential investors for our school. Under our agreement, he is to stay here for a few days to review the student life here and how we operate. Please give him a tour of the entire campus and find him an empty dorm to stay in, explained Koji. And make sure he knows all of the rules. Yes, ma'am, nodded Arisho. Koji then walked away, retreating back to the top of the walls. Spencer's eyes sparkled as he stared at Arisho with his lips slightly parted. His pale skin had a glow of red as an eerie grin appeared on his face. Well, Spencer, it's nice to meet you. I'm Arisho, she smiled, holding out her hand. Nice to meet you too, Miss Misu, he smiled. Wait, how do you know my last name? Asked Arisho. Well, Koji told me. Anyway, I'm eager to get this tour going. Shall we? He smiled. Arisho nodded her head and began showing Spencer around the campus. He seemed very uninterested in the school and more focused on Arisho. He didn't take his eyes off of her once. His eyes rotated from the back of her head to her butt repeatedly as he quietly heaved to himself. He walked very closely behind her to where his chin was practically above her shoulder. His uncanny grin remained on his face during the entire tour, displaying his jagged teeth. This smile combined with his heavy breaths made Arisho feel very uncomfortable. However, she did her best to ignore it. Okay, now we've reached the last part of the tour, the activity field. This is where everyone spends most of their time since we're all required to be part of a club. I'm not really sure what else I'm supposed to say about it. Sorry, this is my first time doing a tour, chuckled Arisho. Yes, I've been informed about this feature already. I won't be here long enough to be able to join a club, but I also want to get the full school life experience. So how about I just hang out with you until I leave? He suggested. Sure, Spencer. I don't mind that at all. I'm sure my friends wouldn't mind you hanging around our club for a few days, she smiled. Come on, let's go get you settled in your room first, then I'll take you to go meet them. Spencer cheerfully nodded his head in agreement. Arisho then walked in front of him, heading towards the dorm area while he stood still. His grin became bigger as he cocked his head to the side, rubbing the knife hidden in his back pocket. They never told me she was so beautiful. How could I possibly slice her throat now? Her eyes are so alluring. They look so much better on her angelic face than they would in a jar. He thought to himself. Forget the deal with Ipuki. I'll steal the stones and keep her all to myself. I'll kill everyone who opposes me and steal the bounty money to pay for our wedding. With the power of the stones, who would be able to stop me? We're gonna be so happy together, Arisho. You were so perfect. That face, that body. I swear I'm going to give you a baby on the first night. Arisho peeked over her shoulder and noticed that Spencer was not following her. He stood still with his uncanny grin and beady eyes locked onto her. A shiver went up her spine as she forced a smile on her face. Are you coming? She asked in a friendly voice. I am, he said in a low voice as he bit his bottom lip. Oh, well, it's this way, she smiled. Spencer moved the duffel bags in front of his body, covering his waist as he followed behind Arisho. The Flirts all sat at a bench in the food court, enjoying their lunches. Shu sat on top of Dao's head, eating a piece of fish and happily swishing his tail from side to side. Meanwhile, Deidara grumbled to himself, glaring at Shu with an annoyed expression. I hate that cat so much. He's such an asshole, he mumbled. You know, Deidara, you should try being nice to Shu. Since he belongs to Arisho, maybe he could convince her to talk to you. Think about it, whispered Toshi. You're right! I never thought about that! If I can get this cat on my side, then maybe he could convince her that I'm a good person, and she'll finally listen to my side of the story, said Deidara excitedly. Toshi nodded his head in approval as Deidara quickly stood up to approach Shu. Shu immediately glared at him as he scrunched his nose in disgust. Hey, Shu. I just wanted to say that I'm so glad that you're part of us now, and I wanted to show my gratitude. Is there anything I can get for you? I'll buy you whatever you want. No thanks. I don't take handouts from snakes, huffed Shu. Deidara's eye twitched in anger. He then forced a smile on his face, attempting to hide his hatred for Shu. Listen, I think we got off on the wrong foot. Let's start over. All I want is to make a new friend, smiled Deidara fakely. Then make friends with the fishes, cheater! Growled Shu, throwing his fish at Deidara's face. Deidara then stomped closer to Shu until they were only a few inches apart. They both aggressively growled at each other while Madiomaru attempted to pull Deidara away from Shu. Seconds later, Arisho walked through the food court while Spencer followed closely behind her. He was so close that his chin was almost touching the base of her neck as she uncomfortably tried to ignore it. Deidara immediately became uneasy, shifting his eyes to Spencer. Arisho! Exclaimed Shu excitedly, jumping in her arms. Arisho pulled Shu into her chest and began hugging him tightly while Spencer looked down at the two in disgust. Deidara noticed Spencer's expression and became even more suspicious. Who is this with you? Asked Dao. Guys, this is Spencer. He'll be spending a few days at the SNA, so Koji put me in charge of showing him around, she smiled. Yes, and I'll be spending my entire stay with Arisho, winked Spencer as he put his arms around her and pulled her into his chest. Deidara practically jumped out of his seat, seething with rage as if he were about to jump over the table. You take your crusty hands off of her! He yelled. Whoa, dude, calm down! Exclaimed Madiomaru, putting his arm in front of Deidara. What's his deal? Muttered Spencer. That's Deidara, my ex-boyfriend, mumbled Arisho. Spencer examined Deidara from head to toe before noticing his singular earring with a large S on it. Spencer did not remove his arm from around Arisho's shoulder, which made Deidara even more angry. I won't say it again! Get your hands off of her! Growled Deidara as Madiomaru grabbed his arm to hold him back. I see. So you're one of the heirs to the Sempai family, huh? I never thought I'd get the honor to meet one of you in person, smirked Spencer before laying his chin on Arisho's head, not breaking eye contact with Deidara. With how gorgeous she is, I'm not surprised that you're her ex. You really fumbled this one, huh? Shut the hell up! Yelled Deidara. Spencer just let out a sadistic chuckle as Arisho became even more uncomfortable with how close Spencer was. Spencer, whispered Arisho, taking a step away from him. Come on, Arisho, let's go back to your room. I don't feel welcome here, said Spencer loudly as he grabbed her hand. What? Growled Deidara. What do you mean, her room? Why would you be going to her room? You aren't seriously dating this guy, are you, Arisho? Before she could answer, Shu climbed onto her shoulder and put his paw over her mouth as he looked down at Deidara in disgust. So what if she is? That's none of your business, hissed Shu. Arisho! Yelled Deidara. Arisho paused for a moment before turning to Spencer with a friendly smile. Let's go, Spencer. I haven't shown you all of the dorms yet anyways, she smiled, walking away with him. Deidara watched the two walk away with an angry, heartbroken expression as Shu stuck his tongue out at him. Spencer then gazed down at Shu, who still sat on the side of Arisho's shoulder, and pushed him, making him fall onto the ground. He then began to walk faster, still holding Arisho's hand. When Arisho heard Shu's body hit the ground, she immediately pulled away from Spencer and ran to his side. Shu, are you okay? Exclaimed Arisho. Yeah, I must have slipped, said Shu confusedly as he rubbed his head. Deidara had saw the whole thing and glared at Spencer. Did you guys see that? He pushed him! There's something seriously off about that guy, grumbled Deidara. Are you sure you aren't just jealous? Teased Madiomaru. No, I'm serious. There's something wrong with him. I can feel it. There's no way Arisho would go for a guy like that, he growled suspiciously. Come on, dude, you're being paranoid, chuckled Dao. You're letting your jealousy make you jump to conclusions. Yeah, and what was that all about? You're acting like a crazy jealous ex. Relax, added Toshi. No, I'm not. Why would I be jealous of a weirdo like him? He looks like he gets off on drinking his own piss. All of the guys began to laugh while Deidara continued to glare at Spencer. Arisho just looks so uncomfortable around him. I'm telling you guys, there's something not right with him, and I'm going to prove it, huffed Deidara. Arisho and Spencer spent hours together in her dorm's recreation center playing video games with Shu. Spencer spent the entire time angrily glaring at Shu while Shu stayed glued to Arisho's shoulder. Hey Arisho, I heard it's going to be a beautiful night tonight, and the sky is so clear at the school. Would you like to go out and sit under the stars with me? Maybe we'll even get lucky and see a shooting star, smiled Spencer. Wow, that's a great idea! I love looking at stars, smiled Shu. I wasn't asking you, growled Spencer in a low voice. Shu looked very confused while Arisho yawned, not hearing Spencer's aggressive comment. Actually, Spencer, I'm pretty tired. I think we're gonna call it a night. We can hang out more tomorrow, okay? She smiled. Oh. Right. See you tomorrow then, he sighed. Arisho then took Shu inside of her dorm and closed the door. Spencer remained in front of the door as he listened to their conversation. He's such a creep, Arisho. It's like he's obsessed with you, exclaimed Shu. Shh. Shu, be nice, whispered Arisho quietly. Spencer scrunched his nose towards the door before finally walking away. It was now 3 a.m. and most of the students slept peacefully in their beds. Spencer quietly crept down the hallway of Arisho's dormitory until he reached Arisho's room. He then got down on his knees and began scanning the wall until he found a small black dot on the wall. He then pulled out his knife from his back pocket and began quietly gutting the wall until it created a small hole. Spencer then placed his eye to the hole to see a perfect view of Arisho and Shu asleep, snuggling with one another. Spencer once again began to glare at Shu. That should be me in your arms. That cat is taking all your attention away from me, Arisho. And we can't have that. Don't worry. I won't let him stand between our love any longer. I'll slice his head off and give it to you as a wedding ring! You'll love that, won't you? I can hear your screams now. It's almost orgasmic. We're going to be so happy together, Arisho. The things I'm gonna do to you, he said to himself as he watched the two sleep. Spencer then began quietly giggling to himself as he laid on the floor, not turning his gaze away from Arisho. Deidara hid behind a wall only a few feet away as he watched Spencer continue to peep through the hole. He had heard all of Spencer's psychotic mumblings. Deidara made a disgusted face as his fist began to shake. He struggled to restrain himself from attacking Spencer as he bit his bottom lip. Relax, Deidara. If you hit him now, you'll look like the crazy ex beating up the new kid. I need proof that he's crazy first, or no one will believe me. But how could I just stand here and watch this? What the hell is wrong with this guy? Thought Deidara to himself. You're so beautiful, Arisho. My God, groaned Spencer. Spencer then began mumbling even more to himself, but much more quiet than before. He was so quiet that Deidara could not decipher what he was saying, only hearing low echoes of Spencer's heavy breathing. Silence, followed by a quick zipping sound, then pierced through the room. Deidara's eyes widened as he began to hear the sound of consistent wet slaps of skin and raspy breaths. He quickly put his hand to his mouth in disgust, struggling not to throw up. Deidara was furious, and it took all of his strength to stop himself from snapping. Deidara immediately ran down the dark hallway as fast as he could back to his own dorm. Spencer was so distracted by his own thoughts that he did not even notice the echo of Deidara's footsteps in the distance. Arisho, Spencer whispered to himself in pleasure. It was now early in the afternoon as all of the students once again populated the activity field. The Flirts sat at their bleachers, each distracted with their own hobbies. Shu was on his back, stretched across Dao's lap, pawing at the string toy that Dao dangled over him. Deidara then approached the two as Shu looked up at him with visible hatred. Kat, tell me where Arisho is now. I need to talk to her, demanded Deidara. But I don't want to, teased Shu. Listen, this is important. It's about Spencer, exclaimed Deidara. Why do you care so much about Spencer? Don't you have a girlfriend already? Why don't you go find Chiharu? Growled Shu. Listen here, you little runt. I don't have time for this. I need to talk to her. Tell me where she is, now! Growled Deidara angrily as he cupped his hands around Shu's chest and held him to his face. Fine. She's on the pool rooftop with Spencer. I wanted to give them some alone time because I think they're gonna, winked Shu. They're so crazy about each other. Deidara's heart sank to his stomach as he dropped Shu. He then ran to the roof of the pool as fast as he could. When he reached the top of the building, he saw a lady who sat alone next to a very romantic-looking picnic setup. The woman's body was fully covered with a blanket, blocking the crisp, windy air. Deidara's eyes became very watery as he quickly ran to the girl and hugged her from behind. Arisho! What are you doing up here? You don't belong with him! You belong with me! I love you! I love you with all my heart! Please believe me! You can't do this! You can't be with him! He yelled with his face buried in her back. He's a creep! The woman then lowered the blanket, revealing her face. It was an unknown woman with orange hair who stared at him in fear. A very muscular, almost 7-foot tall man then walked up to the two, cracking his knuckles.
A creep, huh? What do you think you're doing with my girlfriend, pretty boy?
Roared the man. Deidara looked up in fear as the man towered over him with an angry glare. The Flirts sat in the same spot, still doing the same activities when Deidara walked up to them with a swollen eye. Bro, your face! What happened to you? Exclaimed Dao. Shu then looked up at him and began laughing very hard. Oh, did I say Arisho? I meant there was a lovely couple up there. Laughed Shu. Deidara then snatched Shu out of Dao's lap and began squeezing him very hard. Why you? Growled Deidara. Shu then hissed very loudly and began clawing Deidara's head. Deidara yelled in pain as he struggled to pull Shu off of him. Get him off! Get him off! Yelled Deidara. Dao then pulled Shu off of Deidara's head while Deidara angrily held the wounds on his face. Hey, not cool, Shu, Dao scolded. Yeah, it's not funny. You're taking it way too far, agreed Madiomaru. He's the one harassing me! Yelled Shu defensively. With all of the commotion, no one had noticed that Spencer had approached the bleachers until he loudly cleared his throat. Everyone looked up at him in surprise when they noticed Arisho was not by his side. What do you want? Hissed Deidara. I've come for Shu, he smiled. Huh? Why? Said Shu confusedly. Arisho will be coming back from her training a little later than usual, and she said she wanted us to wait for her in her room. She told me you had the key, so let's go, he demanded. Oh, okay, sure, smiled Shu, jumping on Spencer's shoulder. Deidara just grinded his teeth in anger as he watched the two walk away. A couple of hours had passed, and Shu laid on Arisho's bed in boredom while Spencer stood in the bathroom with the door closed. He had a large red nail filer in his hand that he used to sharpen the knife that he had kept in his back pocket as he quietly giggled to himself. Jeez, it's been hours! When did Arisho say she was coming? Asked Shu. You're right, Shu. It's been long enough. Sorry to keep you waiting. I just had to be sure Kohana was at work first. I wouldn't want anyone ruining our fun, smiled Spencer eerily as he emerged from the bathroom. Shu gasped at the sight of the large blade in Spencer's hand as he immediately began to cower. Hey, what are you doing with that thing? Asked Shu in fear. Listen, Shu, don't take this personal, but you are standing between me and Arisho's love. Therefore, you must be eliminated. He smiled even bigger with a crazed look in his eyes. I thought the perfect goodbye gift to you would be your blood stained on her carpet so you could always feel close to her in the afterlife. What are you talking about? Exclaimed Shu. What love? Arisho thinks you're a freak! We are in love! I mean, how else could you explain this feeling? I was sent here to kill Arisho, but I couldn't bring myself to slit her throat. I've never hesitated with taking a life before. There's no greater feeling than feeling the warm splash of someone else's blood touch your skin. At least there wasn't until I saw her face. Now it feels like I'm flying through space every time she's near me. I just want to be by her side forever. If that's not love, then how else do you explain that? Gushed Spencer. You're completely insane! Yelled Shu, trying to escape out the door, but was blocked by Spencer. Shu backed away from him against the wall as Spencer's grin became larger. You could say I'm a little of the jealous type. I don't like to share, and she seems quite fond of you. There's just not enough room in her life for both of us. But don't worry, I'll be sure to tell Arisho that you ran away. That way she won't be too sad when you're gone. Then in a few months, I'll surprise her with your eyes glued on a ring as a proposal. Pretty romantic, right? He grinned as he walked closer to Shu. Shu became paralyzed with fear as his body trembled uncontrollably. He badly wanted to run away, but his body refused to move an inch as his tail fell between his legs. I can't move. I'm so scared. Arisho! Arisho, please help me! Arisho! Screamed Shu in fear. Spencer laughed as he raised his knife and brought it down very fast to stab Shu as Shu squeezed his eyes shut in fear. There was a loud boom and a squelching sound as blood splattered across the walls. When Shu opened his eyes, Deidara towered over him with the blade inside of his arm and Arisho's door broken off of the hinges. Blood poured from Deidara's arm while he winced in pain. Shu once again froze in fear. He was in complete shock as he watched the blood drip down Deidara's arm. What are you doing, Shu? Get out of here! Yelled Deidara as he glared at Spencer. Shu was silent for a moment before finally opening his mouth. Why? Why would you do that, Deidara? I've been so mean to you. And still, you... I may think you're an obnoxious little pest, but you're important to Arisho, which means you're important to me, said Deidara, turning his head to smile at Shu. I would never let anything happen to you. Shu stared at Deidara in awe as tears began to fill his eyes. Spencer then snatched his blade out of Deidara's arm as Deidara grunted, quivering in pain. How heartwarming. Don't worry, you can die with him, yelled Spencer, slashing at Deidara again. Deidara dodged his movements and grabbed both of Spencer's wrists. He then slammed the hand that held the blade against the wall, making Spencer drop it. Deidara then slammed his knee against Spencer's stomach, making his body fold forward. Deidara then grabbed Spencer, spinning him around and pinned his arms behind his back beside the doorway. Shu! Go! Go find Arisho! Now! Yelled Deidara. A blade then grew from Spencer's back as if it were part of his skin, stabbing Deidara in the shoulder. Spencer let out a psychotic laugh as Deidara grunted in pain. Deidara! Shouted Shu in horror. Go, Shu! I'll be fine! Shouted Deidara. Come on, cat! Come here so I can slice you to pieces! Laughed Spencer. Shu stared at Deidara's wounds in a panic for a moment before jumping out of the window. He then transformed into a small bird, flying away as fast as he could. Just hang on, Deidara! I'll be fast! Yelled Shu. No! 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 You let him get away! Growled Spencer in anger. You're ruining everything! Spencer pushed Deidara off of him and lunged at him with his fist in the air. Deidara swiftly punched Spencer in the jaw before he could land a hit and immediately swiped his legs, making him trip. Before he could hit the ground, Deidara then kicked him very hard in the chest, making his body slam into the ground. Spencer became enraged and grabbed his knife that sat on the floor. He then ran towards Deidara again, wildly swinging his blade. Deidara's right arm was still hurt from his stab wound, so he could only defend himself with his left arm. He blocked and threw jabs at Spencer with his left hand as his bloody arm lifelessly hung. "I'll never forgive you! I'll never forgive you! You have to die! Die!" yelled Spencer, slashing at Deidara. Even with one hand, Deidara began to overpower Spencer. He once again kicked the blade out of his hand and grabbed it for himself. Deidara then slammed Spencer's body into the ground and kneeled over him with his knee implanted in Spencer's spine. He then pushed Spencer's head to the ground and placed the blade to his throat. "Why are you standing in between our love? Why can't you just let us be happy?" yelled Spencer with drool dripping from his mouth onto the floor. "You're insane! You've known Arisho for less than a day! How could you love her?" yelled Deidara. "Less than a day? No. I've spent years tracking her down, just waiting for the day to finally kill her and add her gorgeous eyes to my collection. But she's so clever. She was so good at running and hiding herself from the world that I was always 2 steps behind. It wasn't until they approached me that I was finally able to find out where she was. They offered me a deal that I couldn't refuse. All I had to do was kill Arisho and bring them the stones. In exchange, they helped me get access into this place and agreed to give me 100% of the bounty money. They even agreed to let me keep one of her eyes. How perfect is that? But how could I follow through after being that close to her? She's so much more beautiful in person than I could have ever imagined. And she's so sweet. I couldn't possibly hurt her now. I want her all to myself. Forever. If that's not love, then I don't know what is. We were meant to be." "What? So you're one of the sick bastards who made her life into a living hell? You're a worthless scum, and you deserve to rot," growled Deidara. "Tell me, who is they, and what are these stones that they're after?" "I pour my heart out to you, and you insult me?" "I'm heartbroken," sighed Spencer. "Answer me or else!" yelled Deidara, smashing his head into the ground, making blood rush over his face. Spencer was unfazed as his mouth curled into a smirk. "And what makes you think I would tell you that?" snickered Spencer. Deidara grinded his teeth and smashed Spencer's face against the ground again as he grunted in pain. "Keep in mind, I could kill you right now, and it would be marked as self-defense. So if you value your life, then talk. This is your last chance. I won't ask again. Who sent you?" yelled Deidara. Spencer then spit a glob of blood out of his mouth and gave Deidara an eerie smile. "You can hurt me all you want. You can even kill me, but it won't change anything. Do you really think that I'm the only one who's hunting for her? No. I just got to her first. There's an entire organization dedicated to killing her and her brother. Her bounty is worth $100,000, dead or alive, and her eyes are worth $300,000 apiece. No one would have a bounty that high unless someone really wanted to see them dead. I'm sure as an heir you're aware of what people would do for that amount of money." "A lot of people want to see her dead. Arisho running away with me is the best possible outcome for her. For all of you." "Just her being here puts you all in danger." "Who's after her? Tell me who," demanded Deidara. "What is the name of this organization?" "Why would I waste my breath? It doesn't matter if you know or not. Because once I kill you, Arisho and I will run away and be together forever." He laughed happily. Many armed guards then burst into the room and pulled Deidara off of Spencer's back. 2 of the guards immediately tied a cloth around Deidara's dripping wounds as the rest of them surrounded Spencer. "Put your hands up!" yelled the guards. They all then placed their pistols to Spencer's head while he raised his hands and made a chilling smile. "That damn cat. Fine. I guess you win. For now. Remember this, Deidara. I'll be back. I'm not leaving this world without Arisho by my side!" He smiled sinisterly while the cops put him into handcuffs.
They're coming for her. Protect her until I can come back. Don't let anyone get the chance to take her from me.
Deidara stared at Spencer in shock while the guards forcibly took him away. The 2 guards who guarded Deidara remained in the room and kneeled before him.
We apologize that we did not catch this threat sooner. We will ensure that whoever allowed this to happen is punished by the full extent of the law. Thankfully, it doesn't appear that any of your wounds are life-threatening, but they will certainly need stitches. Shall we escort you to the hospital, Lord Senpai? Asked one of the guards.
No, I'll be fine. You both are free to join the others. Thank you for coming, replied Deidara, rubbing his arm. The guards gave him a slight nod and quickly exited the room. Shu then immediately ran into the room and jumped into Deidara's arms. He was in tears as he snuggled his head against Deidara's chest.
Deidara! I'm so sorry! Thank you so much for saving me from that monster! I can't believe you did that after everything I've done to you! I was so horrible! And still, you took a plate for me! No one has ever cared about me that much! Not even my own family!
Cried Shu.
Please forgive me for how I treated you! I'm so sorry!
A warm smile then appeared on Deidara's face as he gently placed his hand on Shu's head.
Wow, you really are cute when you're not being vicious, laughed Deidara, lightly petting his head. It's okay, Shu. I'd do it again if I had the chance. You're one of us. We are your family now, which means we'll always protect you, no matter what.
A large smile rolled onto Shu's face as he buried his head into Deidara's chest. Deidara wrapped his arms around Shu's small body and snuggled him tightly. It had been a couple of hours since Spencer had been arrested, and the sky was now pitch black, with only the streetlights brightening the school. By this time, Deidara had cleaned and wrapped his wounds in bandages with the help of Shu. Deidara stood outside in front of the dormitory attempting to get fresh air, as Shu continued to fidget with his bandages, ensuring that they were secure. Arisho then emerged from the darkness of the activity field, running towards them as fast as she could.
Shu!
She yelled in a panic. Shu became very excited and jumped into her arms. The two then hugged each other very tightly.
Arisho, where have you been?
Exclaimed Shu.
I'm so sorry. Somehow Spencer locked me in the training area. I spent hours trying to get out. One of the guards finally released me and told me what happened. Thank goodness you're all right. I was so worried about you, cried Arisho. It's all thanks to Deidara. He saved my life. If it weren't for him, I'd be catnip right now, praised Shu.
Arisho looked at Deidara in awe while he averted his eyes away from her. His cheeks slightly turned red as he rubbed the back of his head. Arisho then ran into his arms and hugged him tightly. Deidara's eyes widened in surprise as his heart began to rapidly beat. He then wrapped his arms around her and tenderly smiled as he let out a soft exhale.
Thank you so much, Deidara. How can I ever repay you?
Cried Arisho.
Well, if it's not too much to ask, just please listen to what I have to say. Then if you want, I'll never bother you again, frowned Deidara.
Arisho paused for a long moment before finally nodding her head. She then looked down at Shu, who slightly nodded his head and smiled.
How about I give you two some privacy? I'm gonna go see if Dao is still awake, smiled Shu before hopping away.
They both silently watched Shu disappear into the darkness of the activity field. Once he was gone, the two then looked into each other's eyes, still tightly embracing one another. Deidara then took a deep breath before releasing Arisho from his clasp and taking a step back. Arisho felt very uneasy as she grabbed the back of her elbow and locked eyes with the grass beside her.
Arisho, let me start by saying I would never cheat on you. I love you. I love you with all my heart, and I wanted to tell you that night, frowned Deidara. You were so perfect in every way, and I've never been more happy with a girl than I am with you.
Arisho felt as though she had a knot in her throat as she swallowed very loudly, attempting to suppress her tears. Even though she was on the verge of tears, she did not look sad. She had a very angry expression on her face as she roughly bit her bottom lip. She remained silent as Deidara sadly looked down at her.
Arisho, I mean it. I love you. I love you so much. I need you to know that, he frowned, lightly grabbing her hand.
Arisho quickly snatched her hand away and glared at him.
How could you say that after what you did? She finally snapped. How could you say you love someone and then lay with another girl? Do I look stupid to you? And you were with her every day that I was in training? Seriously? Are you truly that much of a fiend? What? What are you talking about? That's not true, Arisho. I'm trying to be nice and listen to what you have to say since you helped shoot, but I refuse to sit here and listen to you lie to me. I know I was just an easy score to you. So when you wanted to add to your fan base and gloat about to your friends, well, you got me. You made me your personal comrade, just like you said you would. Good job. You don't have to pretend anymore. Arisho! No, leave me alone. You got what you wanted, Deidara. I was just your walking sex toy, just like every other girl at this school. You pretended to love me just so you could. Even after I poured my heart out to you. I'm done with you. This may have been a game to you, but this was real for me. So please, just leave me alone and go back to your number one Chiharu, she yelled as tears flowed down her cheek. You're a perverted, womanizing cheater, and I will never let you use me again. Now let me clean up the pieces of my heart that you shattered in peace.
Arisho then turned away, preparing to run away from him. Before she could, Deidara quickly grabbed her arm and pulled her back towards him. He then grabbed her hips and backed her against the wooden wall of the dorm building. He gently gripped her wrists, pinning her against the building. Arisho, please! Just listen to me! Deidara anxiously shouted. Listen! I don't know where you've gotten these crazy ideas from, but it isn't true! I've never in my life had sex with Chiharu before that night! I swear on my life! The only reason we were together that night is because I thought she was you! You know Chiharu's power is to transform into other people for short periods of time, right? She had transformed into you! I swear to you, I didn't know it was her! Arisho's eyes widened as she looked into Deidara's panicked eyes. What? That night when you left the room to go see Matsudo, I laid on the floor waiting for you to come back. Chiharu came inside literally 5 minutes after you had left and looked exactly like you. She even had your same clothes and perfume on. She turned all of the lights off and didn't say a word. Then she just jumped on me. I swear. I know it sounds insane, but I swear to you everything I'm saying is true. I even got Kohana to give me the security footage from the hallways, said Deidara, pulling out his phone. Please, just look. Deidara then played the video and handed his phone to Arisho. The video showed Arisho running out of Deidara's room down the hallway. Deidara then fast-forwarded the video by a few minutes and it showed Arisho walking down the hallway again with a smirk on her face, entering Deidara's room. The timestamps of the video confirmed that this had only been a few minutes after Arisho had left. She took a step back, placing her hand over her mouth in shock. She then began to tremble in anger as she balled her fists. That's what really happened, and I've hated myself every day since for not realizing it was her. I would never purposely hurt you, Arisho. I promised you I wouldn't. He frowned. When you walked into that door, she transformed back into herself. I was just as surprised as you were. And then, when you had ran off the first time, she started saying crazy things like we were meant to be or something. I was just so blown away and scared that I didn't know what to do. I just froze. I'm so incredibly sorry. I can't believe this! Chiharu planned this entire thing? How could someone stoop so low? Chiharu is truly the devil. I don't see how anyone could do something so disgusting. She's lucky fighting is against the rules, or I swear, huffed Arisho angrily as she paced back and forth. How did she even know I'd leave the dorm? Did Matsudo tell her? Deidara's eyes then widened as he became very angry. I bet it was Matsudo's idea all along. It would make so much sense, he growled. He was probably jealous that we were dating and coordinated this entire thing with Chiharu. No, I don't think so. Matsudo would never do something like that to me, she denied. But Arisho, no, it was all Chiharu. She's a witch. She probably was watching me all day and that's how she knew my exact outfit and perfume. I will never forgive her for this, she said angrily. Nor will I, agreed Deidara. I know that I'm part of the Flirts and I have a reputation of being a womanizer, but I swear to you, I would never disrespect you in that way. I would not have made you my girlfriend if I didn't care for you. Only children cheat, and I am a man. I only have eyes for you, Arisho. I'm so sorry, Deidara. You are truly the victim here. I'm sorry for how mean I was to you, and for everything that I said. You didn't deserve that, frowned Arisho. Forget about it. That's not important. You are the only thing that matters to me right now. Arisho? Does this mean that we can... stammered Deidara as he grabbed her hands again. I mean, I love you so much. I just want us to be the way that we were. Arisho was silent once again as she sadly narrowed her eyes. After a long pause, she finally pulled her hands away from him. I'm sorry, Deidara. I forgive you. Yes, it wasn't your fault. But how could I just forget what I saw? It hurt me a lot. It made me feel something that I never want to feel again. She frowned. I just can't be with you right now. My brain says yes, but my heart is telling me no. I just can't. I think we're better off as just friends for now. I'm sorry. Deidara held his head down in shame, trying to hold back his tears as his body began to tremble. After a short pause, he finally raised his head with a forced smile on his face. Don't be sorry, Arisho. I completely understand. I'm just happy that you're willing to let me back into your life. He smiled. How lucky am I to be friends with an angel as flawless as you? I count that as a win. I will always be here for you, no matter what. I love you so much, Arisho. Whether it be as a lover or a friend, that will never change. Thank you for understanding, Deidara. You truly are amazing, smiled Arisho, happily laying her head against his chest. Deidara tightly squeezed his arms around her and held her as if he would never see her again. The two embraced for a long time before Arisho finally pulled away. Well, I better go find Shu. It's getting really late. I'll see you tomorrow, Deidara, smiled Arisho. All right. You have a great night, Arisho. Try to get plenty of sleep, he smiled. You too. Arisho then began to walk into the darkness of the activity field as Deidara slightly waved his hand goodbye. Once Arisho was completely out of sight, Deidara slammed his back against the wall and began sobbing very loudly.